You know, the hardest thing about getting old is just forgetting stuff, ain't it? I tell you what, there was a day back in Dodge City when I was working there that I can't remember half of a whole day. I'll tell you how it started. First thing that happened, I had my dog with me, and I was going to see old Doc Adams. And this stranger in town, he stopped me and said, "Hey, fella." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Have you lived here all your life?" I said, "Not yet." He said, "Listen, I need to get to the Scroggins farm." I said, "Don't give me a whole bunch of dad blame directions. Just tell me the quickest way to get there." I said, "All right. Are you walking or are you riding a horse?" He said, "I'll be riding a horse." That's the quickest way. Some people just don't think for themselves. Well, after that, I took my old dog up to see Doc. Doc said, "What's wrong with your dog?" I said, "Well, Doc, he's cross-eyed. Look at him." So Doc, he put him in his arm like that, and he was holding him. And he's looking in his eyeballs. He's feeling around on his head, and all of a sudden he looked at me real slow like, and he said, "Festus, I'm going to have to put him down." I said, "Doc, just because he's cross-eyed?" Doc said, "No, because he's heavy." That damn blame feeding old scooter. Well, while I had him up there, I said, "Doc, I'll tell you something, my knees are killing me. I don't know what's wrong with him, but it hurts all the time. What do you think I ought to do?" Well, you know what that pill-pushing tightwad said? Limp. Oh, man. After that, he said, "Festus, let's go get something to eat." Boy, I was all over that. We went down to Delmonico's there, and I tied up my dog outside. We went in, grabbed a table, sat down. As soon as we sat down, Doc pulled out a piece of paper, started scribbling away. I said, "What's that, Doc?" He said, "Well, today's Miss Kitty's birthday, and I'm trying to write her a birthday poem." I said, "That's a good idea." About then, the waiter came by, and he didn't look like his elevator went all the way to the top. He looked at us for a minute or two, and then he said, "You fellas want some lunch?" And I said, "Well, what are my options?" He said, "Yes and no." Smart aleck waiters, I'll tell you. Well, I ordered biscuit, and old Doc, he ordered up some fried chicken. And we went back to that waiter, took it back there, and so we were just sitting there, and all of a sudden the Doc looked up from his writing that poem. He looked me dead in my eyeballs, and he said, "Festus, what rhymes with orange?" I said, "No, it don't." So what are you trying to pull on me, you old scooter? What, do you think I got Indonesia or something? Oh, about that time I seen that waiter walking around back. And I hollered at him, "Hey, fella, how long's that biscuit gonna be?" He said, "I don't know. I ain't never measured it." Well, me and Doc finally started a-talking, and he said, "Festus, you done any fishing lately?" I said, "Matter of fact, Doc, I went on down to Sutter's Pond just last week, and every time I put that cork in the water, I was getting a hit or pulling a fish out of there." I said, "I had the best time. Problem was, I didn't bring very much bait with me." I was upset. So I started looking around for a cricket or a grasshopper or a glowworm or something, and that's when I seen him. Right in the edge of the water was a little green snake with a frog in his mouth. Oh, I snuck up behind him there, and I glommed on to him right behind the ears. Pulled him up out of there, and I was tickled I took that frog out of his mouth. And I was ready to go back fishing. I looked at that snake and that gummy, he had the saddest old puppy dog eyes I'd ever saw. I felt bad because I took his lunch. Well, I didn't bring nothing to eat. All I had was a beer that I brought from the Long Branch. So I gave him a little beer. I poured a little bit down his gullet. He took that okay. I poured some more. He did okay. I poured a little bit more, and all of a sudden he's happy as he could be. So I let him go. I took that frog, went back to fishing. Couldn't have been 10 minutes later, I feel something wrapped around my leg. I look down, it's that little green snake with another frog in his mouth. Yeah. Then I asked old Doc, I said, you been doing anything interesting lately? And he said, Miss Taylor came to see me yesterday. She's always wanting me to do something about her weight. I keep telling her I can't do it. I told her what she needed to do, but then she told me, she said, Doc, obesity runs in my family. I said, Miss Taylor, nobody runs in your family. That's the problem.